I've been resawing a lot of wood lately because I've been making lots of boxes and stuff like that. But my current vise is just not really good enough, not situated in the right place on my bench, doesn't have enough grip to hold the wood in the way I want it in order to be able to resaw it. So I thought it was about time I made something else. So using a little jig there from Colin Cornett of Woodwork Web, just a little thing to stop the vise from racking when you have a sort of uneven kind of amount on one side and the other. So I took my rip saw and after I marked this piece of oak up, I cut it down. Cut it into two pieces and then just used a ruler to mark from corner to corner to get my centre point. Used the dividers there to make a circle, and then since I didn't want to bother using the lathe, I just put it inside a clamp and planed all the way around, kept changing, undoing the clamp, turning it around, kept playing around to give myself a nice round dowel. Then I took a tip from someone else and put some linseed oil in a bottle, and I put the two dowels inside there because it's meant to soften them up a little bit. I left them there for a day, so it's meant to soften the wood up a bit before you put it through the die to make the wood screw. Got an old piece of door here, I think it's sapele, I'm not 100% sure, but just from an old door that was no longer needed, and I thought this would be the perfect big solid chunky piece for the vise drill. In order to make it look more like a vise, and to be more in keeping, I suppose, not that I'm too worried about that. I thought I'd do these curved ends, and also it kind of helps if I'm walking past the bench, I'm not going to catch myself on it because the end of it is curved. So I started off just by taking the end off with the chisel, and then using my plane the rest of the way, just to first of all take a lot of material off like I am here, and then eventually slowly taking less material off and keep curving around like I am here to get a nice curve on there. And let's use my block plane to take off any of the edges and corners which might get caught on my fingers or whatever. After a day I took the dowels out, wiped the oil off them a little bit, and then clamped them into my vise one at a time, and used the die to just swirl around there and get the screw all done. I found it's really hard to get these screws looking perfect. I don't know if I need some better wood maybe, or maybe I need to take the die apart and sharpen it. I haven't actually sharpened this thing since I got it, so that could be it. Now I'm just making 2 points to drill the holes for the screws to go through, but not for the screws to go into, so they had to be made a little bit larger than the screws so that they can move through them freely. I'm using a square there on top of the jaws just to make sure that I keep my drill straight. I had to do the same thing here. This is drilling into the bench, but I kept checking the square every now and then to make sure that I was going at a 90-degree angle into the bench. Then I used the tap just to make the screw, or to make the thread, sorry, the screw to go into, or the screws to go into. Here I'm just cutting pieces of oak for the handles, and another cross in the middle again, just to get the centre point, because I wanted to make the handle circular. So using the dividers again to make the circle, and then a coping saw, just to cut around the outer edge. Chisel just to finish it off. It's not really essential to make these perfectly round, but you know, I just kind of wanted to make them look a bit nicer, I suppose. And then chamfering the corners and stuff to once again make sure my fingers don't get caught on any splinters or anything when I'm twisting them around. And drilling a hole through the centre for the end of the dowels to go into. They were a tiny bit smaller than I wanted them to be, so I made gaps for wedges and then cut off 2 pieces of walnut to act as the wedges. They're a little bit chunky, so I took them to my planing board and just took the ends down a little bit. Then I glued the ends of the dowels, put them inside the handles, and then glued the wedges and tapped them home. I did find out that it was a bit hard to turn the handles when I put them in the vise, so I decided to do what I'm doing now, which is to make some little notches around the outside just for extra grip. Then I thought, well, to protect the jaws a little bit and also to kind of add the appropriate pressure and to have it so my hands could grip onto the handles a bit more, I made a couple of washers. This I used oak once again, drilled the holes for the centre. I had to be really careful not to split the wood. I did actually split one of them, I glued it back together, but it turned out fine in the end. Then I just went over and finished it all with linseed oil, just one coat. I mean, I suppose I might need more over time, but I just wanted to get some oil on it and get using it. So the washer goes on first, then I get them through the jaws, screw them into the bench, and I was actually really surprised at how well this held the wood. I wasn't expecting much, to be honest with you, because I had previous attempts at other kinds of vise type things and it didn't work very well at all. But I just tightened these up a little bit and I got my frame saw out and the wood is not budging at all. And now I can saw with the length of my bench rather than with the width of my bench. When I was sawing with the width, it was wobbling all over the place, obviously. Sawing with the length of my bench, there's a lot more weight there. The braces are in that direction. It makes more sense for me to resaw in that way. So the bench just makes it so rock solid, and the vise so easy to use, so easy to make, and I wish I'd made it ages ago. So thanks very much for watching, guys, and hopefully I'll catch you again soon.